Israeli army announced that 24 soldiers have been killed since the start of the ground invasion 5 days ago, and that the army is continuing its search for tunnels in Gaza. Many of them were built around mosques and schools and hospitals. The army also produced a recording from a medical official in Gaza who revealed that Hamas is keeping millions of liters of fuel supplies under the major hospital of Shifa, which goes to prove the army's point that they should not be letting in fuel supplies.
As we mentioned earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Tell us, what were the key elements about their conversation?
Antony Blinken requested that Netanyahu consider a temporary ceasefire for allowing humanitarian aid in, and Netanyahu denied that request, saying that there will be no ceasefire until the hostages are released, because he considers the Israeli hostages also a humanitarian crisis. They say that Blinken also brought up the issue of violence in the West Bank, in which West Bank Jewish settlers have been attacking and killing Palestinians in the West Bank, and urged the Netanyahu government to clamp down on them, even though several far-right members of Netanyahu's coalition support those settlers. But Blinken urged him, for the sake of public opinion in the U.S. and Europe, that they had to control the violent actions of the Jewish settler.
Ricki, still some in Israel are calling for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to resign. How likely is this to happen?
Well, Netanyahu said in a recent press conference that the only one who will be forced to resign is Hamas, that he's going to force them to resign to the dustbin of history. But there are, according to recent polls, 80% of Israelis think that he should accept responsibility for the failures that caused Hamas massacre on October 7th, as already many senior political officials and military officials have already accepted responsibility, and he still has not. And a recent poll also indicated that if elections were held, Netanyahu would only get 28% of the vote compared to 48% for his chief opponent. But most people still believe that he should be able to continue to lead the country during the war.